Hi, I'm Mark. In this video, I'm going to show you how to start a flooded chainsaw. A common problem with chainsaws, and really any large two-cycle engine, is flooding it when trying to start it. Flooding is when too much gas goes into the engine's cylinder while you're trying to start it before the engine starts running. This extra fuel will fill the gap between the electrodes of the spark plug, and without the spark, the engine won't fire. It's easy to fix, and I'm going to show you a couple ways you can do that. So the first thing is knowing how to properly start your chainsaw. To start your saw, you should turn the ignition on, close the choke, prime it if it has a primer bulb. And actually, this isn't a primer, it's a purge bulb, which is removing the air from the carburetor. When the engine has a purge bulb, you can't over prime, because it's not actually putting fuel in, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, I'll pull the engine over until it just fires and dies. Then I want to immediately push the choke in. This is where most people run into problems. If they leave the saw choked and continue to pull the starter rope after it fires and dies, that's when you're going to flood the engine. The choke allows extra fuel to go into the cylinder to make starting easier. So with the choke in, I pull the rope again and it'll fire. So what do you do when the engine does become flooded? First, and this is probably the most important thing, make sure you open the choke. With the choke closed, every time you pull the starter rope, you're just going to add more fuel to the cylinder and flood it worse. The next thing I'm going to do is to hold the throttle open as I pull the starter rope. That'll let as much air into the cylinder as possible. And now I'll pull the rope over, probably several times until the engine fires. So what do you do if you try that and the saw still won't fire? The next step is to remove the spark plug and use compressed air to blow the excess fuel off the plug and out of the cylinder. To do that, I'll access the spark plug and go ahead and remove it. I want to blow away any fuel around the electrodes. Now, using an air nozzle with a rubber tip, I'll insert it into the hole where the spark plug goes and blow air into the cylinder and out the muffler. You may need to turn the engine over a slight amount until the piston's in the proper position so that the air comes out of the muffler and not out of the carburetor. I'll blow it through for a few seconds to ensure that I get all the fuel out of the cylinder. Now reinstall the plug. And I'll try to start the engine again, making sure that as soon as the engine fires, I put the choke back in or open. And that's a couple methods you can use to start a flooded chainsaw.